Rubens Barrichello looking good for 6 World Championship points in his first race for Ferrari. Ralf Schumacher, the first race for BMW Williams, looking good for 4 World Championship points and getting on the podium. That would be terrific. But this is terrific too.
Somebody running wide there and kicking up the dust, but no position change at the moment. This is where Salo is quick on the brakes, but he's not close enough, but still filling the mirrors of Fisichella's Benetton. I think Villeneuve and Fisichella will be very relieved to see the checkered flag at the end of this race. I suspect they're both just struggling a little bit.
Salo, Mika Salo, the Finn, the very, very cheerful Finn, is pushing mighty, mighty hard. He's certainly going to score a World Championship point in his first race for Sauber if he stays where he is in 6th position, but look how close it is, anything could happen. And now, Michael Schumacher out there in front for Ferrari. I said earlier on that he's had a great deal of bad luck, ill fortune in Australia. If he wins this one, it's not only going to be... Oh, and Zonta having a look. It's going to be Michael Schumacher's first race win in Australia if he wins. He's got 2 laps to go, each of 3.3 miles at the end of this one. He's on his 56th lap. But here, the attention, I mean, Genet is a lap down in the Minardi in 9th place. Heidfeld looks as though he's going to finish his first race for Prost in 10th position, 2 laps down.
Salo thinking, shall I risk a point? Shall I gamble 1 point if I get a sniff at the back of his gearbox? Shall I gamble 1 point for 2? And knowing Mika will be saying, yeah, of course I will, I'll have a go. So I don't think Fisichella's at all safe, while Mika Salo appears to have the faster car.
Yeah, he's got that very powerful Ferrari engine from last year. Sauber have an arrangement with Ferrari that they will use last year's Ferrari Works engine, and we all know how good that was. Salo having a look. Wurtz trying to get through, but Jacques Villeneuve is going to be a mighty difficult man to pass. He's got all the experience. Meantime, Michael Schumacher, and now the rest of them are on their 57th lap. That's the top 8 are on their 57th and the same lap. Marc Genet a lap down in 8th place. Nick Heidfeld 2 laps down in 10th position. But between the 1st and 8th places, there are just 58 seconds.
Interestingly, we're looking at a gaggle of cars there, as we switch to the Ferrari, that ran very early in the year 2000, Murray, and not surprising that there's a couple of each of them in that pack there, and 2 Ferraris running strongly at the front end that seem to have good reliability. So those teams that got their car out early are certainly getting some dividends today.
I was talking to Mike Gascoigne, the Jordan designer, just before this race began, and he said to me, Michael Schumacher will win this race, and I think Ferrari will win the Constructors' Championship, and Schumacher will win the Drivers' Championship. Well, we'll see, but it's a wonderful start.
But I liked Mika Häkkinen's positive mental attitude. He said, hey, listen, there's 16 races left yet, and that's what we normally have in a season before we start, and I think that's a very good approach to have.
Yeah. We, you know, one race, one swallow does not make a summer. One race does not make a world championship. All that Ferrari can say is they've started extremely well. All that McLaren, Jaguar, Arrows and Jordan can say is they have started extremely badly. But there's still 16 races to make up the gap or to lose to your rivals. But Michael Schumacher will be very, very happy with this. He's been enormously confident all the way up to the start of this race, all through testing and all through qualifying, even though he started 3rd behind the 2 McLarens. He said, I'm not the least bit bothered. This is a long race. 3rd is a good place to start. And it looks as though, as is usually the case when Michael says something, he was absolutely right. The flags are flying, and Michael Schumacher is coming through to win for the first time the Australian Grand Prix in wonderful style. A great sight. Schumacher wins. Fist out. Victory salute. And a euphoric Ferrari team greet him home and look down to see Rubens Barrichello. There he is. finishing in second place in his first race for Ferrari. Now, only 7 seconds further back, it should be Ralf Schumacher in the BMW Williams, and it is. Ralf Schumacher finishes third. A great finish for him and for the Williams team.
That chasing pack is some 27 seconds behind, but at the moment Villeneuve is heading it from Fisichella still. There he is now, coming through 14 into 15. No position change, it appears, in there. So BAR are going to take their first World Championship points, providing there's no scrutineering hiccups after the race. And over the line they go. Fisichella 2 points, Salo the extra point. We've got 2 Schumachers on the podium, Murray. Ferrari winning this race for the second consecutive year. Yeah,
I don't think they will be any happier than the BAR team, who've not only got both their cars home in the top 7, but one of them scoring points, and it's right that it should be Jacques Villeneuve, and the other nearly doing so in 7th position, Ricardo Zonta. But now the 2 Ferrari drivers go round in formation, saluting each other. But the man of the day, as we have seen so very often in the past, is the great double world champion, Michael Schumacher, making a wonderful start for his attempt at a 3rd World Championship in the year 2000 to achieve the goal that he has been fighting for ever since he left Benetton in 1958, to bring Ferrari back to the front, not just in the Constructors' Championship, which in a way was a consolation prize for them last year, but the vital Drivers' Championship, which was last won for them by Jody Scheckter as long ago as 1979. And the BMW Williams sandwiched between the 2 Ferraris. Ralf Schumacher has driven as meritorious a race, in my opinion, as his brother.
I think it was a solid drive from Ralf, actually, in the middle of the pack there. The pit stops worked out well for him, the reliability stakes worked out well for him, but a good, solid drive, as we saw so many times last year. Michael's going to be very, very happy, isn't he? Got his teammate beside him, his kid brother behind him. He leads the World Championship. He's got a good car underneath him with a lot of reliability. Well, what else could he ask for?
Well, the Drivers' Championship, of course, is as the finish in the race. Michael Schumacher leads with 10 points, Barrichello second on 6, Ralf Schumacher third on 4, Villeneuve fourth on 3, Fisichella fifth on 2, Mika Salo a fine 6th with 1 point. Ferrari lead the Constructors' Championship with a total of 16 points, the maximum they could score from 1st and 2nd. 12 points ahead of Williams, and who would have forecast that 2 hours ago? And James Allen is with Ferrari designer Ross Brawn.
Ross, a terrific win for Ferrari today, a 1-2. How do you stand, though, relative to McLaren, do you think, with the car? You think you're on a level?
It looked to me, performance-wise, we're pretty comparable. I mean, obviously Rubens got stuck, but Michael could respond when Häkkinen responded, but it's going to be very tough. I mean, it looks to me as though they're very, very similar. And it's got the makings of a great year. But at least we're starting here competitive. Last year we were a bit desperate. So I'm really, really happy with today.
I spoke to Rubens yesterday. I said, are you looking forward to benefiting from one of those famous Ross Brawn strategies? And he said to me, you betcha. And you switched it for him today, didn't you?
Yeah, it was again a no-loss strategy, really, because when it became clear Frentzen was going to go longer, we took a chance and it worked out. Heinz Harrell had a problem, so I'm not sure what would have come from that, but no, we were pleased with that.
Well done, Ross.
Thanks.
Pleased? I should think he's pleased. He goes back to Maranello, a top man, and I haven't mentioned, I said he was the Ferrari designer. Ross Brawn, of course, is the Ferrari technical director. Let's give the credit where it's due for the design of that car to South African Rory Byrne. Well done, Rory, you are a star. And so is Michael Schumacher, and so is Rubens Barrichello, as Ralf Schumacher looking cool, calm and collected as ever. Embraces his brother. Oh, there's never been 2 brothers like this in Formula One. We've had them in the past, of course, the Rodriguez brothers and various others, not all that many of them, but this is the most successful brother partnership of all time in Formula One. Ralf on the right, Michael on the right, on the left, showing again that when he's happy, he is very, very happy.
A walk in Albert Park for Michael Schumacher this afternoon, and Jean Todt, their sporting director of Ferrari, pretty pleased with himself and the entire team. It was faultless, really, wasn't it? McLaren getting away at the start of the race and with a 1-2 there, but Ferrari coming through at the end, and it was just so easy for Michael.
I've never made any secret of my admiration for Michael Schumacher, and one of the many things I like about him is his uninhibited joy when he does well. I mean, he's not a grey man who doesn't show any emotions at all. If he wins, he's happy, and he shows it. And I bet you, when he gets on that podium, he's going to do the famous Michael Schumacher leap high up in the air to say, I am there, I am number one, I am a very happy man. And Melbourne, as ever, has seen a superb race. The Australians are a wonderfully enthusiastic lot.
The first thing they have to do is go and be weighed. And they stand on some scales holding their crash helmet to make sure that they match the weight that has been allocated to them pre the race, and there's no shenanigans going on there. There's Michael when he got out of shape towards the end of the race while he was just playing around, but as soon as they get off that off the scales, they zoom up a tunnel, a passageway behind and up onto the podium, and when they look out, you can see the crowd that Michael's going to look out onto, and they've got lots of red hats and red t-shirts and Ferrari flags to wave at him.
And they're a lovely crowd. They won't come over the barriers and attempt to spoil things. They're just here to show their enthusiasm. Incidentally, the new Premier of Victoria, the state of Victoria, in which we are situated here at Melbourne, the Honourable Steve Bracks, will be presenting the trophy to Michael Schumacher as a winner. And then James Strong, who's the chief executive of Qantas, who've done so much for this race, is going to be giving the Constructors' Championship trophy to, I expect, Jean Todt. It's normally him, or he might ask Ross Brawn to go up. Ron Walker, who's chairman of the Australian Grand Prix Corporation, and probably more than anyone else is responsible for the success of this race here at Melbourne, will be giving the second prize to Rubens Barrichello. And then John Osborne of CAMS, which is the governing body of motorsport in Australia, is going to give Ralf Schumacher his trophy. Enormously happy Ferrari team, of course. They all work hard. Arrows work hard, Jordan work hard, Minardi work hard, Williams work hard. Some get the success and the rewards, some don't. And they certainly going to Ferrari, and just listen to the crowd. And there's Michael. Is he happy? Yes, of course he is. So is Ralf on the right. Rubens Barrichello on the podium in the scarlet Ferrari overalls for the first time, and it won't be the last. And there is Steve Bracks on the left, the Honourable Steve Bracks, the Premier of Victoria, in the dark suit, and he'll be making a mighty fast getaway when those champagne bottles spray and the German national anthem sounds out for Michael Schumacher.
great scenes on the podium here as the Premier of Victoria, the Honourable Steve Prex, presents Michael Schumacher with his first win in Australia. Back-to-back wins for Ferrari. Last year it was Eddie Irvine. This year it's Michael Schumacher, and what a fantastic start it's made, Alan Jones, for Michael Schumacher's hopes of winning back his World Championship, as we see Ron Walker now presenting the second prize to Rubens Barrichello. And what a great result for Rubens. His first drive for Ferrari, he couldn't have dreamt of it being any better, really.
Absolute dream start. I mean, what a great scenario. To bring two new Ferraris down to Australia, finish first and second, consolidate Rubens' position in the team. He'll get a lot of support. Not that he didn't have it before, but the Italians love somebody that gives 101%. He's proven he can do that now. He will have cemented his place in the team, and they'll make for a very, very strong combination.
John Osborne presenting Ralph Schumacher with the third prize. Ron Walker beating a hasty retreat there as well. And James Strong from Qantas presenting the Ferrari team with the Constructors' prize today as well. But this is magnificent. This is only the second time the Schumacher boys have been on the podium together. The last time Monza 98, and they're certainly celebrating, Alan.
Wonderful trophies too. If you have a look at them, they represent the wooden steering wheel, and they're made here, I think, in Bacchus Marsh, and they're beautiful trophies. So a credit to the gentleman that does them. But a great result for BMW Williams too, because they really have finished. They're finished in third spot. They've got some valuable championship points, and for them to be on the podium in their first back in Formula One is a great result.
Well, he's had a few ordinary trips to Australia, Michael Schumacher. This has got to be a stellar day for him. Not only has he got his teammate next to him, meaning his Ferrari team pick up the maximum constructors' points, but his younger brother next to him as well, and it just couldn't get any better.
Yeah, I think the schnapps will be flying tonight.
They'll be drinking schnapps down in Lygon Street, I think, in Melbourne tonight. Let's have a look at the results now. Alan, let's go through Michael Schumacher, Ferrari, Rubens Barrichello, Ferrari. They were 3 and 4 on the grid. The McLarens fell over pretty early, and from there it was all red car.
Yeah, and his brother Rolf in third. Great result for Jacques Villeneuve too, because, I mean, after a very unreliable and very poor season last year, I believe the BARs are going to show well this year with the new Honda engines.
Fisichella doing well for Benetton, and Mika Salo with the old Ferrari engine from last year, picking up a point as well. Zonta, Wirtz, as you say, going right through the ranks there. So a tremendous performance today by the Schumacher brothers, by Ferrari. But let's go through the teams. On the downside, McLaren. Out they went. First of all, Coulthard, and then Mika Häkkinen, who had the lead and seemed to be in a pretty good position.
Well, they've got the speed, there's no doubt about that, and they've got the drivers. I believe that David probably makes just a few little mistakes more than what he should have, a driver of that experience, but they've just got to address that reliability problem, and I think if they do that, we're going to see an unbelievable tussle this year between them and Ferrari.
Jordan, in the space of one lap, Frentzen, pit stop was terrible, then Trulli just blew his car up, and then Frentzen had gearbox trouble and they were out of business. Yeah,
well, I mean, that's the ironic part about it. I thought if anyone was going to have no reliability problems, it would have been Jordan, because they did stick to an older proven package to concentrate on reliability, and of course they went out. You know, it's motorsport. I mean, you get teams spending hundreds of millions of dollars in the off-season. They come all the way out to Australia and can't last 1 hour and 45 minutes.
All right, well, we'll come back and analyse all the teams, the good, the bad and the ugly. But what we have here is a wonderful sport, and the Melbourne crowd do it again. Look at that, all the different nationalities in there, the different support for the different teams, and all great fun. But today is Schumacher Day and Ferrari Day. Michael Schumacher wins the Qantas Australian Formula One Grand Prix from his teammate Rubens Barrichello and his brother Ralf Schumacher in the Williams. We'll come back and analyse the entire afternoon when we return on Nine's Wide World of Sports. Welcome back. The year 2000 Qantas Australian Formula One Grand Prix has been run and won by Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari, Rubens Barrichello in the Ferrari second, and Ralf Schumacher in the Williams in third place. Jacques Villeneuve did very well in the BAR team, picking up their first points, 3 points. Giancarlo Fisichella in the Benetton, and Mika Salo in the Sabre, the other points getters today. And just fantastic scenes down there, Alan. We've just got word through. We can go down to the interviews now with the first 3 place getters, the 2 Schumacher brothers, and also Rubens Barrichello.
Welcome to the top 3 finishing drivers of the 2000 Australian Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher, Rubens Barrichello and Ralf Schumacher. Michael, this must be the perfect start of the season for you. A 1-2 for Ferrari, first for you, your first win in 10 attempts here in Australia, no points in McLaren. You must be delighted.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, delighted is probably the wrong word. I mean, imagine how long I'm in Ferrari. It's the fifth times we try to win this Australian Grand Prix and be competitive from the beginning of the season. But somehow when I went into my new car, I immediately felt this is the car I'm going to do it with, and I'm going to fight really from the beginning of the championship with. And obviously there was a little bit of disappointment yesterday because we didn't get the full potential out. And myself, I wasn't too worried. And I believe I proved this today, that I was right. And thanks really to the guys. They have done a fantastic job. I mean, not just the car is reliable, but it's so bloody fast, this car. I'm really, really delighted to drive this car.
Now, even at the start, when you were in third place behind the two McLarens, you just seemed totally in control. Was that the case?
Yeah, I was already from the beginning basically driving pretty easy, saving my tyres, saving my fuel, just for the final moment when pit stops would have come to attack. That was my strategy, and it worked fine. Unfortunately, the two guys in front of me broke down. I would have wished to have a race until the end to prove really how good we are. But I think we will have plenty of opportunities to do this year.
Now, talking about that, when you saw David retire, did you then consciously pick up the pace to perhaps force Mika into also having a similar problem?
I mean, I saw David slowing down, and I was wondering what's going on, whether he had a problem or whether his team told him to do certain things. I wasn't sure. So I was worried for a moment what is really going on. Luckily, I saw him going into the pits and I knew what is going on. So it was just a matter of being calm, cool, putting pressure on Mika that we wait till the pit stop and see what happens. That was my strategy. I wasn't thinking he would break down as well.
Thank you, Michael. Rubens, your first race with Ferrari equalled your best ever finish. But at the start, when you were behind Heinz Harald and the others were getting away, what were your thoughts at that moment?
It was really hard because, like Michael said, this car is unbelievable. This car is really, really good. So, unfortunately, in Melbourne, there's not a lot of places to overtake unless the car in front is really slow. Heinz Harald was trying to keep his pace, and at a certain point, he was going really fast, but that took a long time, so the guys in front were going away. So, you know, I was trying to work the tactics with Ross, and everybody says he's the maestro, and he really is. I mean, he changed my strategy. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened to Frentzen, but I think we would have done him anyway. But he did a fantastic job, and the whole team did.
How close to that first stop did you actually make the decision that you were going to go for a second one?
He was on that lap, I would say. He was pretty much on that lap when we saw that Heinz Harald was going for a long first stint. We chose to go for two, so it was on that lap.
Thanks, Rubens. Ralf, the day didn't start very well when you had to take the spare car. I mean, how surprised are you to finish, let alone finish on the podium?
Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, we came here again like last year with having no race distances in a test, but the team did a fantastic job. The car was really great to drive. It was the best car I've ever had. And, you know, speaking about the engine, BMW did a great job. I mean, it did its job as drivable as an ICE engine, and it was reliable, you know, and we finished third. I mean, I thought that if we finished, that we finish in the points, but I never thought about finishing third. It was a great day for us.
Now, in the race, you were battling quite closely with a number of other drivers. Did you have a good, fair fight?
Well, it's actually a little bit boring here because the only thing you can do is following cars and wait till they pit and then be quicker, and that's what we did. We went into the pits very late, I think nearly the latest, and that made us overtaking the other cars.
Thanks, Ralf. Michael, we go on now to Brazil, where I think it's fair to say the last few years Ferrari have struggled in the anti-clockwise and over the bumps. Do you feel you can carry on this good form with this new car?
Certainly, yes. I mean, this car is a faster car than it has ever been. It has been competitive. It is reliable, as we have seen. So I'm really looking forward now for all the season. I believe we will be able to be competitive everywhere. Not only the car is fast, we have already very good ideas how to develop it, and so everything looks to be a very good year for Ferrari.
Certainly looks like that at the moment, Alan. And what about Rubens Barrichello? He goes there, the first Brazilian Ferrari driver, and now with the podium finish as well, second place here in
They'll
Australia.
go berserk over there. They really will go berserk. I think they're the largest, or second largest Italian population outside of Italy. And like the Australians, they love their Ferrari, but he won't be able to move in the time he gets there.
Michael, very relaxed. As he said yesterday, he finished in third position going into the grid. No worries, he wasn't overly concerned yesterday and just drove a nice tactical race. It was almost as if he was waiting for the McLarens to fall over.
Well, I honestly believe that had that session not been stopped because of Coulthard's accident, he probably would have been on the front row, if not pole. So as a driver, you get to know how your car feels and how it's going. So he thought, well, third place, it's a long way. He was obviously very comfortable about it.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll find out just what happened to Jaguar today with Jackie Stewart. But before we go to the break, the attendance today, a magnificent 124,300 people, the second highest ever at the Australian Formula One Grand Prix, and a total over the 4 days of 359,500, which is more than 14,000 more than last year. So all round a magnificent day. 124,300 attending Albert Park today here for the Qantas Australian Formula One Grand Prix. When we come back, we'll put Jackie Stewart on the griller and find out what happened to that beautiful green beast of his, the Jaguars. That's next on Wide World of Sports.